this first. I'll volunteer to read my title on our section 1 notes. Go for it, Emily.
1.4 solving absolute value equations.
Solving absolute value equations. Let me ask this question. Phrase, absolute value. How many have at least heard of the phrase absolute value? How many think you can give me a definition in your own terms, or your best definition of absolute value, or what it might mean? Mr. Nolan, what do you think?
Pretty sure it's like how far away it is from zero.
How far away a number is from 0. So great. Anybody know how you denote absolute value? What do you do with it, Tori? You know how to do it? It's 2 lines around it, right? It's like it's a number in prison, right? It's a number in prison. There's bars around it, right? You're exactly right. Let's talk about some of this stuff. So we've got some background knowledge. The central question we want to ask today is how can you solve absolute value equations, and how are they relevant in real life situations? So goals today for us. Goals. Let's just look at our goals here real quickly. First goal, solve absolute value equations. I'll show you what that means here in a second. Second one, solve equations involving not just one absolute value, but what? 2. And then finally, identify special solutions of absolute value equations. There's going to be some times where you're going to get an answer. You're going to be able to answer the question and say, oh, that's the number. But it turns out that that number won't work. And I'll show you what that means here in a second. So those are our goals for today, right here, to answer the essential question up there. Whoops, that didn't quite work. Yes, it did. All right. Vocab. So, like Nolan said, the absolute value, he was pretty sure it's the distance a number is from what? 0. Okay? So if I jump down here, there's a number line. Guys, 4. If I pick this number 4 right here, how far away from 0 is it? It's 4 units. Okay? Positive just means it's 4 units to the right. How many units is negative 4 away from 0? Well, it's 4 units, but this negative just denotes it's what direction of 0. How does it lie to 0 relative to it? Left or right of it? Left. So negative just tells me which direction to go. Okay? So how do you read that? Well, somebody said that they're in bars. So if I would write something like this, this simply says, what is the absolute value of 6? That's asking how far away from 0 is 6? What are you going to write then, guys? That equals 6. Okay, what if I put this in here? Absolute value of negative 17. What's the absolute value of negative 17, kiddos? It's 17. Okay, we're looking for the absolute value of negative 17. The negative 17 says it's 17 units to the left of 0, but the distance to the whiz away is 17. What could you say about absolute values then for your solutions? They should always be what kind of a value? They should always be positive, with the exception being 0. Okay? Great. So we understand absolute value. I think, give me a show of hands. Somebody say, yeah, I think I've got that. So if I say the absolute value of 55, you tell me what? 55. If I say the absolute value of negative 26, you're going to tell me. If I say the absolute value of negative A, you're going to tell me positive A. Okay? Guys, then right here, 2 numbers that are the same distance from 0 would be considered opposites. So an example might be negative 3 and, what's the opposite of negative 3, kiddos? Positive 3. Okay? Are both those values the same distance from 0? They are. One's 3 units left, one's 3 units right. Okay? So it's pretty easy peasy. What I think that's going to be pretty new for you, right here. Extraneous solutions. How many of you have ever heard of extraneous solutions? All right? Right here. This says these are solutions that are not needed. And I'll show you what that means here. But basically, it's like saying, I solved the problem. I got an answer, but this answer when you substitute it back in won't work. So I'm going to make a note down here. I'm going to make a note that says numbers that don't work when you substitute stuff in. When you substitute stuff back in. All right, and I'll show you what that means here in a second. Okay. So vocab-wise, are you okay with that? Absolute value, opposites, and extraneous solutions. You hear any of those terms, you know what I'm talking about, right? Everybody cool with that? Questions about any of that? Anybody need more time getting those down before I roll? All right, kiddos, let's look at these properties of absolute values. Do you guys have a line right in the middle, or are there two columns? Two columns. What did you say? Two. So one right in the middle here. Okay, so right here, properties of absolute values. It says the absolute value of any number is always going to be greater than or equal to what? 0. So for instance, if I say the absolute value of 6 right here, what's that going to equal? You already told me what? 6. Is 6 greater than or equal to 0? Greater than 0. So that works, right? Okay. Right here, it says the absolute value of the opposite of a is equal to a. So for example, the absolute value of negative 9 would equal what value? 9. Okay. It says the absolute value of a times b is the same as the absolute value of a times the absolute value of b. Let me put one in here. How about this? Absolute value of negative 3 times 7 in here, kids. What's negative 3 times 7 first of all? Negative 21. And then you take the absolute value of negative 21. What do you get? Positive 21. So that's going to simplify to what value totally? 21, right? Do you guys agree that this is the same as the absolute value of negative 3 times the absolute value of 7? Guys, what is the absolute value of negative 3? What is the absolute value of 7? How about your product 3 and 7 then? 21. Did that match what we thought we'd have here? Okay. And I'm not going to do an example for the next one. It just says the absolute value of a fraction is the absolute value of the numerator divided by the absolute value of the denominator. In a nutshell, your answers are always going to be what kind of answers? Positive with the exception of 0. Okay, so I think we've got this. Again, what does the absolute value look like graphically? If I would say the absolute value of negative 5, what does that equal, guys? 5. It means it's how many units from 0? Well, there's 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units. It means it's 5 units from 0. Okay? What's the absolute value of 4 mean? Well, it just means it's 1, 2, 3, 4 units from 0. The plus and minus just dictate which side of 0 the value you're discussing is going to lie. So I think we've got that. Right? Now, do you think everything's going to stay this easy? Unfortunately, never is. Never is. Yeah, Parsons got to take something easy and make it difficult, right? It's kind of like macaroni and cheese. Anybody of you make macaroni and cheese? Is there anybody that just can't make mac and cheese turn out? Okay. Well, let's rock and roll here. Here's the heart of the matter today, guys. We'll start looking at some simple equations. These are going to get more complex as we progress through here. But I think we'll be able to understand what's going on. Guys, solving simple absolute value equations. Now, you told me that these absolute values right here are always going to be positive or what? 0. Don't forget about that. Think, absolute values must be positive or they must be 0. Those are two things you're going to think about right there, positive or 0. So over here, it says solving a simple absolute value equation. It says, hey, I want to take the absolute value of some unknown and I want it to equal here 7. Now, can you guys think of numbers you could substitute in for x? I heard somebody said, who said that? Help me out. I'm deaf in my left ear, by the way, guys.
I said it the second time.
Second time? Negative. Who said negative 7 first? I heard one. Oh, doesn't matter. So x is equal to what here, guys? Is that the only solution that's going to work? Say that one more time, Jacob. 0. Okay, if I throw 0 in, what's the absolute value of 0 going to be, Jacob? 0. So is 0 going to equal to 7? So I want a number I can plug in for x so that when I do the absolute value of that number, it's equal to 7 in the end. One suggestion is negative 7. Can you think of a different one? Positive 7. All right. Note this right here, guys. To solve this, we basically took what was inside here, set it equal to a positive 7. We also set it equal to a negative 7. Do you guys agree those two answers will work? Are the absolute values of both of those 7? They are, okay. How about the next one? The next one's interesting. It says take the absolute value of some number to plug in so that it equals negative 4. Got a thought on that? It's kind of a tricky one. Might want to star this. What did I say about absolute values? They're either going to be what? Positive or what? This is saying on the left side, you're going to take the absolute value of some number, and all of a sudden it's going to be what kind of a value? Negative. Is that even possible? No, because if all absolute values are either positive or zero, there's no such number that I could substitute in here to be a negative. So right here you have to say what? No solution. You have to say no solution. Okay, so I put a note up here that says if you have the absolute value of anything and it equals what kind of a value here? Negative. If the absolute value part equals some kind of a negative number, there's not going to be a solution because this part right here, this part right here, use the right pen, this part right here will always be greater than or equal to what? Well, 0, which implies a positive. Can you have a negative number out here? Can an absolute value equal a negative number? Because this is really what's saying. Absolute value of something is negative. Is that possible? Not possible. Okay? So let's check this out quick. Let's see if we can figure this out. I don't want to confuse you too much. I think this is going to get a little bumpy for some of us a little bit. But guys, right here, look at the part that's an absolute value right here. The part that's in there is 2x plus 4, right? Now, guys, I'm going to go to the right of this. Do you guys agree that the absolute value of 6 would equal the 6 that it's already equal to, first of all, guys? Would you guys buy that? Yeah. Would you also agree that the absolute value of negative 6 is equal to 6 as well? So what this implies is the following. It implies that 2x plus 4 has to equal the positive 6 here, or 2x plus 4 has to equal my what? Well, it has to equal a negative 6. How do you solve these? Here's how you look at this. The first thing you're always going to look at is this value out in the end. What am I equal to? Am I equal to a positive value out here? Is that good or bad? That's good. Okay, so the way you're going to solve them is twofold. You're going to write two equations. One equation is 2x plus 4 equals 6. The other equation now will be 2x plus 4 equals negative 6. Okay. This part, the 2x plus 4, that's inside of here, can equal a value of 6 because the absolute value of 6 is what? And this part that's inside your brackets can also be equal to negative 6 because the absolute value of negative 6 is also what? 6. Okay? Well, this is what's going to be new for you to grasp. Help me solve this first equation up here. What would you subtract from both sides? Subtract 4, right? So do you agree in this first equation up here, you would have 2x is equal to, what is 6 minus 4 on the right hand? 2. Okay, so what's 2 divided by 2? It's 1, right? It's 1, right? So the solution that I get for this one, 1. Come back up to your equation and check it out. What's 2 times 1? 2 plus your 4. What is the absolute value of 6? Is it working for us? Okay. Now, I also said the part here could be negative 6. 2x plus 4 could turn out to be negative 6 because the absolute value of negative 6 would be 6 as well. So here, 2x plus 4. Subtract 4 from that first. So how about your negative 6 minus 4? Where's that landing at? What kind of 10? Negative 10. And when I take negative 10 divided by 2, what do you get, Jacob? X is negative 5. So the other solution, check me out here. What's 2 times negative 5, gang? Negative 10, right? Negative 10 plus 4 is negative 6, right? But then we've got to turn around and take the absolute value of negative 6, which puts you where? Positive 6. Okay? No, I do not. I do not answer me again. The curly colors. So what are your two solutions there? Positive 1 and negative 5. Okay? Now, guys, I want to point out the first number I look at out here is that one right there. I want that number that's not inside of absolute value signs to be either positive or 0. Okay? So take a look at the equation to the right. Absolute value of 4x minus 6 equals what? Negative 4. Is there a red flag going up anywhere? What's the problem here? It's negative. You're going to take the absolute value of something that we don't know, and it's going to turn out negative. Okay? Corey's looking at me and says, Hard saying that's a bunch of horse crap up there. Okay? Is anything going to work here? What's your best explanation? Why won't anything work here? Yeah, because the last step we're going to take on the left after we get numbers is to throw something in there. The absolute value is going to make it a positive again, right? If this turns out to be positive or 0, can a positive or 0 ever equal a negative here? So what you want to say here? No solution. Do we understand why? That there is a problem. Okay? All right, well, let's take a look at these other ones here. These here are a little bit more intense, a little bit more to them. Guys, if you notice in the problems up above, on the left side, you got absolute values all by yourself. On the left side, absolute value on the left, all by itself. Do you have just an absolute value all by itself now in this case? So to progress through something like this, your next job is to say, I need to get all my absolute values alone first before I can work with these. Okay? So right in here, you've got this absolute value part, but to that you're subtracting a 10. How would you get rid of that minus 10 in there to be able to just make this an absolute value equation like the ones up top? Jacob, what's your suggestion? Add 10. So this is going to become the absolute value of 3x minus 9 equal to what value, kiddos? 45. Everybody agree? Now, take a look at your value here. Are we going to be able to solve this, or is there not going to be a solution? There's going to be a solution because that value out on the right is what kind of a value? Positive 45. So what are our steps? I got to take what's inside and set it equal to positive 45. I've also got to take what's inside and set it equal to negative 45 because the absolute value of that negative would also be a positive, right? So here we go. 3x minus 9 is 45. Can I get a volunteer to solve that one for me? Kelly, you've got it? How about the next one? 3x minus 9, that would equal what here, guys? 3x minus 9 equals negative 45. Kelly, I just have to do it at your desk and get me a solution, okay? How about volunteer to do that one, the second one? Don't be shy. You want it down?
Sure.
Second one? Okay. Kelly and Em, yell it out when you're ready, okay? Okay. How much? 18, I agree, very good. Whoa, that looks like a Chomzilla symbol.
Okay. For the other one, you are going to add 9 to the
Okay.
side.
So we've got 3x equals negative 36.
Yes. And then you're going to divide each side by 3 and get x equals.
Okay, so that's what you would have for those two. That's what you would have for those two. And again, if I check these right here, when I throw them in here, when I throw 18 in here, 3 times 18 is 54. 54 minus my 9 is 45. So what is the absolute 45? What's the absolute value of 45? 45 minus 10 more is 35. Works, right? Same thing down here, negative 12. 3 times negative 12 is negative 36. Negative 36 minus 9 more is negative 45. How about your absolute value of negative 45, kiddos? 45 minus 10 more. Works, doesn't it? What do you say about the next one? How many say it's not going to work? How many say it's going to work? How many are looking at it saying, I'm just not sure? What are my people that say it's going to work again? But it's equal to a negative right here. It's equal to a negative. Bill, you want to help me out? I've got to do what first? I can't consider if there's a solution or not until the absolute value is all by itself. Do you have that situation right here? Is that all by itself? What are you going to do to both sides, kiddos? So add 14. So good. Very good. Nice save. All right? Because I would have messed that up. So I'm glad you guys are around to keep me in line. If I add 14 to negative 5, what is that? So this is really 3x, the absolute value of 3x minus 9 equals 9. Now I'm not going to solve this, but just give me the process now. What would you do to solve this once you have an absolute value alone and a positive value on the right all by itself? What would you do to solve this? What would your two equations be that you set up to solve? First one would be 3x minus 9 equals what, guys? Isn't that the first one you'd set up? What's the second equation you'd set up? Instead of equal positive 9, you would have it equal negative 9. What do you guys think? Yeah.
Add 9 to both sides on the first equation.
Okay.
And then that equals 3x equals 18,
All right.
x equals 6.
So I'd have x equals 6 here. Guys, if I add 9 here, doesn't that become a 0 on the second one? What's 0 divided by 3? 0. So your solution is 6 and 0. Hopefully the Vikings can start 6 and 0 this year. How are we feeling? So far, so good? Good? Nolan, you know a good bet? You know why? These puppies are sick. All right, next page. Let's roll. Brock Adamczyk taught me that. Guys, class 4 concept. I'm going to write this down right here. What we've really been doing is this. We've been solving equations that involve what? Involving, yeah, absolute value, right? Okay, so if I'm going to write this right here. If I have the absolute value of, I'm just going to write like this, something. The absolute value of something right over here has to equal something that is either positive or what over here? Positive or 0. Does that make sense? And then to solve this right here, we take this something and set it equal to the positive part first, right? But to find the other solution, we also take that something inside the absolute value and set it equal to the opposite of it, because the absolute value of negative is also positive. So the core really here, guys, is this. You have something inside of here equal to a positive or 0. You're good to go. If it's ever equal to a negative, what's the well, you're just DUN done, right? Right? So we're saying in order to solve these, we're going to take that something and set it to the positive part. We're going to take that something and set it equal to the negative part. Right? Example 3, this is where things may get a little tough. Example 3 says solving absolute value equations with absolute value expressions. This is not a situation now where you have just one absolute value, but you're going to have 2 of them, okay? Here's the rule. Pretty plain and simple. Rule says this. If you have something, isn't this like the something right here equals absolute value of cx plus d? This is like the something on the left right here, isn't it? Okay, now all of a sudden, instead of just having a positive or a 0 on the right, you now have an absolute value of something, right? However, on the right side, if I take the absolute value, no matter what it is over here, it's either going to be Positive or what? 0. So is the right side always going to be positive or 0? Okay, it says then, take that something, in this case the ax plus b, and set it equal to the first part that's in there, cx plus d. And then the other part is take that first something and set it equal to the, what do they throw in front of the cx plus d all of a sudden? A negative. Something equal to the positive part, something equal to the negative part, right? So let's look at this. Here's how this works. Pretend the left side is your something. What is something on the left side? Okay, here's how this works. Whoops. All right, this is where things get interesting. You're going to take the left part, 4x minus 6. Set it equal to, okay, inside of here you've got 7x plus 8, right? Okay, leave it. Just leave it the way it is. Okay? We're going to end up solving that. Basically, this is an equation with variables on how many sides now. And we're very accustomed to those, right? Now, here's the situation on the second part of it. It also says take that ax plus b, or the something I call on the left, in this case 4x minus 6, and set it equal to the opposite of this right here. Okay? Guys, opposite meaning do what with all signs? Change them. So in this right here, on the right side, didn't we have 7x plus d? 7x was positive and the 8 was what? Positive. So take that something again, set it equal to, just take what's here and switch your sign. So instead of positive 7x, set it equal to what? Negative. Instead of plus 8, have a. Okay. Now, anything really different there? Anything really different? Keep your left side the same. Set one positively, set one negatively. And you're on your way. So let's solve this. What would you subtract from both sides first, guys? Subtract 7x. Oh, help me out. My math skills on a 4-day weekend, they go away for a while. All y'all agree? 8, like that? And then you're going to add how much? 6, right? Add a 6. So I've got negative 3x equals, now you're going to take 14 divided by negative 3. I'm just going to leave it as a fraction. I'm going to say one solution is x equals negative 14 over 3. X equals negative 14 over 3. You guys okay with that? Okay, and then the next one. Again, I'm going to, instead of subtracting 7x, what would you do now? Add a 7x. So this becomes 11x minus 6 equals negative 8. Add a 6, right? So what's negative 8 plus the 6 going to get you? Negative 2, right? So to get x alone, what do you have to do to both sides, gang? Divide each side by 11. Excellent, guys. So in fraction form, what's that going to look like? Negative 2 over what? Oh, why does that do that? There we go. X equals negative 2 over 11. Okay. So instead of having just one absolute value, you've got an absolute value equal to an absolute value. Keep the left part the same each time. In the first part, keep what's in here, the 7x plus 8. The second part, what happened to the 7x plus 8? You switch all the signs. What if there was a minus sign in here to begin with? What would a minus turn into over here on the right? Positive. Okay. Can we handle this? All right. I'll make you a deal. First of all, I need to see, does anybody remember what time we get out of here? 10:08. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's have you guys on your own. Give those 4 a try. First 2 should be pretty easy. I'll tell you right up there, one of them's not possible. So go ahead and take a couple of minutes, give those a shot, and then check with the neighbor. It'll be all right. That'll be all right. Guys, let me me just ask this question first. Are there any of those 4 up there that's not going to have a solution? Kaylee, are those 4 not going to have a solution? Second one, so top right, that's what you're saying? Everybody agree top right won't have a solution? What's the reasoning? You're a negative on the right. Yep, so you can't do anything there. Everything else, well, what about the first one? Why does the first one have a solution? It's negative on the right. Absolute value makes it a positive. Okay. See what you guys get here. I'd like to get through these. I'll tell you what, if we talk about these and you guys do a good job discussing these, I'll make you a deal. I won't give you homework for the day. How's that sound? If you guys give me a good explanation on these today, I won't give you homework today. Deal?
Yeah.
Are you sure? You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. You ain't got them, check with the neighbor. If you disagree, talk about why you disagree, okay, guys? Are you on the bottom right one? Are you stuck on the bottom right one? Say. One of them's no solution. Right? Guys, I won't lie. This last one here, I'll put an exclamation point by it. That's pretty tough. Okay?
No, it doesn't work. Restart.
Guys, I'm going to start setting these up right off the bat, okay? And you tell me if I've got them set up correctly. Okay, done or not? We've got about 3 minutes left. I want to get through the on your owns here. Guys, just start with this first one right here. The absolute value of negative 15 is really what value?
15.
It's positive 15. So this is like rewriting the equation. Negative 3b equals 15, right? Okay, so when you solve this first one, what did you get for a d value? Careful. What kind of 5 in the first one? What's a 15 divided by negative 3? Negative 5. What'd you get here when you take a negative 15 and divide by negative 3? Okay. Guys, when you get done with these, I strongly encourage you to substitute back in and check. Just see if it's right. Okay? What is negative 3 times negative 5, guys? Negative 3 times negative 5 when you substitute back. Positive 15, right? Negative times negative would be a positive, right? Well, what's the absolute value of 15? It is going to be 15. Is that going to match this right here on the right? It'll match, right? How many had 5 and negative 5 for the first one? Do we all understand no solution for the second one?
Yeah.
Okay. Have I set the third one up correctly? The something on the left equals what's over here on the right, since you have absolute values on both sides. But I also have to take the something on the left and set it equal to the opposite of that. So I set the equations equal to a positive 10c first and then a negative 10c. All agree? Okay, so if I would solve this right here, I'm going to subtract 2c from both sides here. You would have 8 equals 8c. And then finally c would be what value? So c is 1 here. Same thing over here. Let's subtract 2c here. So we're going to have 8 equal negative 12c. What are you going to divide by? Careful. What are you going to divide by? C is over here. All right, negative 12. I'll just tell you that you could divide that out. You would get a decimal. I believe you got negative 0.6 for p if you went decimal form. This would also reduce to negative 2/3. Okay? This would reduce to negative 2/3. Okay? Have I set the last one up correctly? Take a look at that. 3x minus 4 exists in both. I have to set the 3x minus 5 and then negative 3x plus 5. What'd you find out about the first one there? What'd you find out about the first one, CJ? The 3x's cancel out. When I subtract 3x from both sides, this goes back to the equations on both sides, with variables on both sides, I should say. We get a comparison that says negative 4 is equal to negative 5. And this is a false statement. So what's it imply about the first equation I wrote? There's not going to be a solution. However, there was a second one that I wrote down here. Got an idea? Okay, let's check it out. If I add 3x to both sides, this becomes 6x minus 4 equals 5. Adding this 3x over here would make that a 6x, right? All agree? And then add how much now? Add the 4, so I've got 6x equals 9, right? So what did you get for a value? X would be 1.5 here, actually, okay? And I think that this would be a really good place to stop. Guys, I'm not going to send an assignment out today, okay? So we'll pick this up tomorrow and get some time to work in class. I think we've got 1 page of notes left. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So, hey, last thing, quiz-wise, if you're having trouble, see me by what time today? Have a great day, kids. Good job.
Hi.